So, what do you think of when you hear the word geography? Is it just about memorizing capitals and rivers? Or is it something more? Today, we're going to dive into the core debates that have really defined geography, and you'll see these aren't just dusty old arguments, they're fundamental questions about our world and our place in it. And that question right there, is it about unique places or universal laws? That's the central conflict in geography's story. It's what created a whole series of these great divides that forced geographers to decide what their discipline should even be about. Okay, let's get into the first and arguably the biggest split of all. It all started with the most basic split you can imagine, separating the study of the natural world from the study of humanity's role in it. You can think of it as the classic nature versus people divide. So on one side, you've got physical geography, the science of natural stuff like mountains, weather, ecosystems. And on the other, you have human geography, which really came into its own with thinkers like Friedrich Ratzel. It focuses on us, our cultures, our economies, our cities, and how we organize ourselves across space. You know, once you separate nature and humans into two boxes, you eventually have to ask the big question. What's the actual relationship between them? Who or what is really in charge here? And that question, well, it kicked off one of the biggest philosophical battles in geography's history. It was a debate that tried to solve the ultimate puzzle. Are we just products of our environment, or are we the ones calling the shots? On one side, you had environmental determinism. This idea saw people as pretty much passive products of their surroundings, that our societies are basically determined by the environment. But then Possibilism came along and said, hold on a minute. It argued that humans are active agents of change, fully capable of shaping our own destiny. And you know, this was a huge idea early on. For instance, a determinist might argue that the harsh climate of a certain region made its people hardworking, while the easy, mild climate of another made its people lazy. It's a view that really sees nature as the ultimate puppet master, pulling all the strings. Now, what's so fascinating about Possibilism is how it completely reframed the conversation. It didn't deny that the environment matters, of course not, but it put human choice, culture, and technology right back in the driver's seat. It's like nature provides the menu, but we're the ones who choose what to order. And this quote from Lucien Febvre just nails it. As he saw it, nature isn't a dictator, it's more like an advisor. The environment doesn't bark orders at us. It just presents a whole range of options, and we are the masters who get to choose. Okay, so once geographers started figuring out what to study, nature, people, their whole relationship, the next great debate popped up. Okay, but how exactly are we supposed to study it? And this was a major clash of methods. Should geography be like writing a really detailed biography of a specific place, trying to capture its unique character? That's the regional approach. Or should it be more like a traditional science, searching for universal laws that apply everywhere? That's the systematic approach. The goal of regional geography, and the fancy term for it is chorology, was to understand the complete, one-of-a-kind personality of a place. It's all about describing every interconnected factor that makes one little patch of Earth totally different from another. But the goal of systematic geography was totally different. Thinkers like the legendary Alexander von Humboldt wanted geography to operate just like the other sciences. They wanted to find predictable, universally applicable principles that could explain why things are where they are all across the globe. So this whole methodological debate was basically the setup for a huge shakeup in the mid-20th century. I mean, we're talking about a moment that completely changed the game, when one side of this argument made a really powerful move to redefine the entire discipline. So this is where we really get to the heart of it all. We can reframe this whole debate using two really important terms, idiographic versus nomothetic. In other words, should geography just be about describing the unique, special details of a place, or should it be about creating universal scientific laws? For a really long time, that idiographic or regional approach was king. But then critics like F.K. Schaeffer came along and basically argued that this focus on the unique was a kind of exceptionalism. He said that if geography ever wanted to be taken seriously as a real science, it had to stop just describing places and start creating laws. It had to become nomothetic. And bam, that critique basically lit the fuse for what we now call the quantitative revolution. This was a massive paradigm shift. Geographers started moving away from just describing places, and they embraced positivism, this idea that all knowledge has to be based on objective scientific evidence. They started using statistics, mathematical models, all to analyze spatial patterns, aiming to build theories you could actually test. So what you saw was this complete rebranding of geography. It was effectively redefined as a spatial science. The goal wasn't just to describe the world anymore, it was to explain it, to discover the general laws that govern the location, distribution, and interaction of everything on the Earth's surface. But did this scientific turn really end the debate? After all these intellectual battles, are these great divides, these dualisms, finally resolved? Did the science guys just win? Well, not exactly. Instead of one side winning, modern geography had this big realization that these ideas are complementary, not contradictory. The field now understands that physical and human geography are really just two sides of the same coin. What we do absolutely affects the planet, and the planet, in turn, definitely affects us. At the end of the day, to truly understand our world, we need both approaches. We have to appreciate the unique character of individual places, that's the ideographic view, while also searching for the general laws and patterns that connect them all, the nomothetic view. You can't really understand the general without looking at the particular, and vice versa. And that leaves us with a final thought for today. As we face these massive global issues like climate change, but also deeply local ones like how to plan our own cities, this question is more relevant than ever. These great debates from geography's past are still very much shaping how we understand its and our future.